They're already calling evacuation warnings in San Diego. Is something happening down there? Oh, Jesus. San Diego County under state of emergency as Mayor Gloria declares evacuation warning. Huh, I've got friends in San Diego. Hope they're okay. This includes neighborhoods such as South Crest, Mountain View, Encanto, Rolando, and other areas of the southeast San Diego that were impacted by the January 22nd storm. January 22nd storm? I'm not up on my San Diego flash flood lore. Still, a temporary evacuation is a pretty wild, 2.5 inches of rain starting tomorrow. Ah, man, that's so little rain in the right place and so much rain in the wrong place. In the future, California might be at threat for mega floods due to an arc storm. One of the biggest threats, so the main problem with flooding in cities usually has more to do with drainage than anything else. Like asphalt and concrete don't absorb water except for some specific types. Usually roads are built with a curve. They're convex outward so that water will flow to the sides where it pours along a slight grade on the road and eventually disappears into the stormwater drainage system. The issue is that drainage system has limits, and it's not perfect. You're talking about like thousands of square miles of territory that are all interlinked in this one big or multiple connected networks. And as a consequence of that, like, you know, the flooding that you get, it's usually because there's just a limit to some area's capacity for dealing with that much stormwater. One of the best things that you can do for stormwater management is to have like reserves of natural space with like, you know, dirt and sand. Because if you think about it, if you have a big park area, right, where you have the grass and then the dirt, that area has like a really high capacity for holding water because it just goes down into the earth. Like forever, you know? Not really, but like it can go all the way down into bedrock in a lot of cases, which means that even a modestly sized park can potentially have enough like emergency stormwater sort of like reservoir ability as multiple square miles of stormwater collection. That's why Cop City is so shitty, along with normal Cop City shit. That was really hard to say, but I nailed it. I misspeak so often, too. I'm proud of myself. The cops basically annexed a bunch of land that was going to be used for flood drainage. Yeah, it's not good. Stormwater networks are designed for 50-year records, and global warming has been all those old predictions. Yeah, have you seen this? Look at this daily sea surface temperature. All of these lines here are the years before. And then here, the orange line is 2023, and this black line is beginning of 2024. That's pretty cool, right? Yeah, I think we hit the tipping point. This was caused by regulation that blocked cargo ships from polluting. Yeah, we talked about that. I think that's part of it. I think there is also a bit of a bias here, because isn't there like El Nino shit happening? Like it would be a little bit warmer anyway due to a recurring pattern. But still, this is significant. The people responsible knew this would happen since the 80s. The 60s. The definitive proof we have of oil companies knowing about climate change and the effects that it would have go back to the 60s, I believe. Climate change had been talked about for, I think it's about 120 years now. The concept has been discussed, but the like concrete evidence, the absolute concrete evidence we have that the companies knew what would happen, that goes back to the 60s. Vaush, in my country, we used to have a traditional ice skating marathon that we do yearly, but since the start of the 21st century, we've only been able to do it 3 times due to climate change. It's theorized we'll never do it again. Yikes, that's really sad. Did you cover the Panama Canal running out of water due to this El Nino? Wait, is there a drought at the Panama Canal? Oh, God.
An extreme drought in Panama is forcing authorities to substantially scale back shipping through the Panama Canal, one of the world's key shipping channels. And it comes at a time when traffic has also been disrupted through the Suez Canal, where commercial shipping has been limited by the widening Middle East conflict. Stephanie Tsai looks into the problems for the critical Panama Canal.
The canal is one of the most important waterways in the Western Hemisphere.
Really?
And typically carries 5% of the world's maritime trade and 40% of U.S. container traffic. But with water levels below normal, authorities are only allowing 24 ships to cross a day, down from 38. That means more delays and higher shipping costs. The Panama Canal Authority's Deputy Administrator, Ilia Espino de Murata, joins me now from Panama. Ms. Marotta, thank you so much for joining the NewsHour. So describe the severity of the situation at the Panama Canal right now. You're operating.
The Panama Canal drains inland water into the ocean in order to operate the locks. Is there no way for them to use a pump system to pull water from the ocean? I know it would take a ton of power, but like, it's the Panama Canal. It has to not, it needs to run. No, lol. There has to be a way to do that, right? Too much energy? No, I know. No, don't get me wrong. I know this is like billions and billions of dollars of cost. I'm not saying. I'm saying that whatever cost it might be, compared to the cost of not being able to run the Panama Canal, I promise you, the cost is lower to pump it from the ocean. We can't watch a real life lore video, Benjamin.
At a reduced capacity, 24 ships.
You'd be pumping salt water into a freshwater lake. No, I mean disconnect the system entirely from the freshwater and just use ocean water to... Wait, hold on, 1 second. Doesn't the Panama Canal connect to seawater things? No, you're right. It connects to a freshwater lake. You're completely right. Okay, boys, it's time to salinate the lake. It's time. Okay, the Soviets did it. We can do it too. It's time to get rid of the lake. Yeah, here we go. The banana cut. I see. So yeah, the issue is that, yeah, you can see it right down here at the bottom. Basically, the lake is raised up from the sea level, so they need to pump fresh water to raise these sea locks. So a boat goes into a little, like, closed-off area. The door closes behind it. They pump fresh water into it. It goes up, and then they move into the next. It goes up, blah, blah, blah. It's just a connection of sea locks, and then back down the other side. I mean, I guess we could salinate the lake. It would probably only be, what, moderately ecologically disastrous? But at least then we could use seawater.
Today, do you expect...
This seems needlessly complicated. No, trust me. It's an engineering marvel. Maybe there's a better way to do it with modern technology. Like if we could have done it today, we would have just, like, I don't know, bored a hole through without connecting to a lake so we wouldn't have to deal with a different sea level. But I think what we have is pretty optimal. The lake also provides fresh water to millions of people. Ah, yes, but millions of white people? That's what I thought. Moving on.
That volume to go even lower in coming days and months.
Hi, good afternoon. Happy to be here. No, actually, we are forecasting that we'll stay at 24 until the end of April, beginning of May, when hopefully rainy season starts again. So
hopefully. When hopefully rainy season starts. Oh, yeah. Hopefully. Oh, God.
Well, we have to reduce the amount of traffic because we are just entering the dry season in Panama. So we'll have no rain whatsoever. And we had a very dry season in 23 because El Nino effect. Now, you saw that all over the world, not only Panama. So we were forced to reduce the number of transits and maintain a 44-foot draft for our clients not to be impacted too much. So we have less slots where we're trying to give a draft that is still very competitive for the industry. And hopefully we'll stay at 24 until rainy season comes back in late April, early May.
What if the rains don't come back? You mentioned the periodic weather pattern El Nino, but I've also seen quoted meteorologists that say climate change has exacerbated a drought there.
She's going to downplay it, right? Because as someone who operates the Panama Canal, she doesn't want people to worry. Like her bias would be towards maintaining calm.
Do you really see relief coming with the next rainy season? And what if that relief...
Are there no alternatives to maritime trade? No, not really. Maritime trade is orders of magnitude more energy efficient and cost efficient than anything else. Nothing really compares. Just floating a boat across the ocean is ungodly efficient compared to like any other way of delivering anything. Even far more efficient than trains. It's just too good. Yeah, if we could do like some one-piece ocean trains, but sadly no. How could you advocate airstriking the Houthis but not El Nino? Look, if we could airstrike climate change, I would deploy every carrier group we have. How about just not trade? Ah, the ANPRIM option. Sure, I'm sure improvements could be made, Benjamin. I just mean like maritime traffic in general is pretty necessary, you know? Can we internationally trade by planes? Sure, if you're willing to like make everything cost way more and pollute way more. Yeah, I mean, we could, yeah. Though, in fairness, do you like there are some things that just can't be transported by plane. Like here, hold on. Shipping freight, boat, yeah, cargo boat, whatever, line up the terms. Maximum capacity weight, 20,000 TEU. What the fuck is that? 20-foot equivalent units. Oh, that's space. I'm looking at weight. 1/2 metric tons. Whatever point I'm getting at here, like, keep in mind that a lot of the stuff that boats transport are raw materials, coal, oil, grain. The cost of shipping stuff that heavy by plane would be, like, incomprehensible. It would lead to mass starvation. There are many countries that have a net import of agricultural product, and the cost of having all of that shipped by plane would be like it would bankrupt the United States after enough time. It's just not doable. Those ships are shockingly enormous too. Oh yeah, they're colossal. You would need hundreds and hundreds of planes to match the carrying capacity of just one of these. Look at that. Each of these is one of those standard, you know, shipping the metal, the things you see in the FPS games. One of those. All those Funko Pops. Yep. Billions and billions of Funko Pops. Read what you wish, but this would solve the problem in the long term. The Nicaragua Canal. I like canals. I think we haven't done enough, like, colonialism in Latin America. I think it would be cool to do some more. It's been a little while, you know? Currently being headed by a Chinese businessman. Nice. Could we not take some action here? The Hong Kong Canal Development Investment Group closed its office in 2018, but it retains the legal rights to the concession for the canal and side projects. We could probably buy that. The Nicaragua Canal is a dream until there's regime change. Yeah, probably. I mean, if the price is right, could always go for more canals. Could we not? We should do... Oh man, I was literally about to say, why don't we just do one down here at the red line where it's thinnest? But that is the Panama Canal. What if we just do the Panama Canal 2? Like literally just right next to it, you know, for redundancy's sake. Also, if we run through this way, we're hitting freshwater again, which kind of complicates things. Ideally, we would have a Suez Canal situation where it's literally just like seawater and you just go right through it. You don't need a bunch of sea locks. No, too mountainous. We could nuke it. Yeah, Mr. Good Socks, we could nuke it. We could do the nuke dredging, what they wanted to do back in the good old days. Both Americans and the Soviets wanted to justify their nuclear testing and development after the technology was invented. So we decided to see if we could use it for civilian purposes. Yeah, Project Plowshare. Yeah. And like, hey, can we do, you know, what could we do? Some like mining, because you sure could build a big hole. Like, look at that. Wow. Imagine digging a hole that large in literally 1/1,000,000th of a second. That's pretty cool. A similar program was carried out in the Soviet Union under the name Nuclear Explosions for the National Economy. Rock blasting, da-da-da. The project's uncharacteristically large and atmospherically vented Sedan nuclear test also led geologists to determine the Beringer crater was formed as a result of a meteor impact and not a volcanic eruption, as had earlier been assumed. This became the first crater on Earth definitely proven to be from an impact event. Huh, interesting. By exploiting peaceful uses of the, quote, friendly atom in medical applications, earth removal, and later in nuclear power plants. This is what I mean by the can-do spirit, guys, okay? We invent a nuke, and immediately the American government, the Pentagon, starts paying for, like, propaganda cartoons, or, like, an animated, squash and stretch nuclear bomb is walking around with a cane and a top hat, calling himself the Friendly Atom, explaining how you too can benefit from this marvelous technology. Look, we'll dig a canal in 1 nanosecond, you know? If only. Oh yeah, let's put nuclear power on civilian shipping. That'll go well. Actually, I don't think that's as dumb of an idea as it might sound. The enrichment of a fuel rod used in a nuclear reactor isn't weapons grade. So, I mean, like, if something bad happened, that would be bad, but it's not like you could get terrorists, like, stealing nuke material or whatever. Like, if they could enrich that to weapons grade, they might as well have just done that with regular uranium. It's not that hard to get uranium. Yeah. There are plenty of military vessels that are already nuclear powered, aircraft carriers and submarines. In fact, submarines only really took off because of nuclear power, you know? I mean, if you think about it, you need an engine to run a submarine. How the f do you run an engine in a submarine? Where does the gas go? Like, how do you operate that? You're underwater. Either you flood the interior of the submarine with diesel fumes and everyone dies. You rely on batteries and everyone gets to like be underwater for 5 seconds. They actually had that for a while, by the way. They had a battery-powered submarine, but it would charge with a diesel engine that could only be operated when they were surfaced. So it would run out of power and have to surface, and then for like an hour sit still while a diesel engine recharges the battery and just billows black smoke into the sky to like alert everyone where the recharging submarine is. It's only because of nuclear engines that modern submarines even really work, because they can operate underwater basically indefinitely without any, detrimental effects. Diesel attack subs are actually the future. True. Diesel electric subs are stealthier while underwater because they just run off battery rather than a nuclear engine. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that modern submarines have a battery too, that they can like calm the nuclear engine if they need to, so that they're just running off battery power, which is silent. Diesel submarines are the most common. Only world powers operate nuclear subs. Yeah, they're expensive, but they're also the only like modern viable submarine, basically. Because the whole point of submarines in modern conflict, as I understand it, is either like A, reconnaissance, B, you get a sneaky hit and nobody knows who did it, or 3, you end the world with nuclear apocalypse, nuclear Armageddon. You you emerge right off the coast of Russia and you begin the end of the world. No, they aren't the only modern viable. When I say modern viable, I mean in terms of like modern military doctrine. That is what they are used for. There's a reason why we do pay out the money for the nuclear submarines. Don't radars catch these submarines? You mean a sonar? Other side? Oh, I guess I had them in parallel. There you go. Oh, thanks. A lot of synchronicity. If only you guys could combo like this. I'm glad they got to have fun with our retired USS Ronald Reagan. Quote-unquote sank the carrier Enterprise by firing flares and taking a photograph through its periscope. Okay. Yeah, they should have fired off a real torpedo. Diesel subs can be much quieter as they have far less ambient machine noise. Yeah, because they would run on battery when they're underwater. TBH, surface subs aren't really that good at killing submarines. You want to kill a sub, you send another sub. I don't know how far deep sonar can really penetrate. I'm not really sure. Can you make nuke batteries? I don't know how this shit works. Well, you would charge a battery with a nuclear engine, yeah. Actually, wait, how well could you do that? You can't really turn off a nuclear reactor, can you? Yeah, wait, actually, come to think of it, you can't really turn off a nuclear reactor, which means that, sure you can. Okay, please, interpret what I'm saying in good faith. If you are a nuclear-powered submarine underwater, realistically, what it takes to turn off a nuclear reactor is not something you're going to do. You don't have, like, the same level of access or control over the machine, and also you're a military vessel, and you can't, like, you have to do this quickly. It's called control rods, my man. Yeah, but it's not just dipping it up and down. I don't know why I say anything to you guys, if all of you are just going to interpret what I say in the worst possible faith. You know it's complicated. I know you can turn off a nuclear reactor, obviously. I'm talking about, like, we're talking about a vehicle that would be doing, combat operations. So logistically, like, what constraints are there physically on a nuclear reactor in a submarine? What time would it take to, like, switch it on and off? Like, what, like, it's not difficult to understand what I'm talking about here. They flood the reactor with seawater. I know. Yeah, for sure, Demo Boy. That's why we do it. We use helicopters to sink subs now, by the way. Well, we don't really fight any countries that have submarines, so it's kind of like a... To answer your question, it's not covert. It would just be a matter of how long it takes the rods to cool down and then heat back up, I guess, and all the other processes. Everyone saw Chernobyl and thinks all nuclear reactors are shitty RBMK reactors. Now, I'm not a nuclear expert. I'm not pretending to be an expert in the subject. It's just I'll say something like, you can't really turn it off, and then chat will assume that what I mean is it is literally impossible to turn off a nuclear reactor, which would be an insane thing to believe, versus a combat vehicle operating in a combat situation might have problems with activating and deactivating an engine that can't just literally be turned on and off the way a diesel one can. But chat instantly assumes that it's like, oh, well, the controls. I know that, everyone wants to be smarter than me. Well, congratulations, you all are. I'm a retard, but that doesn't mean you can shoot the discussion down. Come on, editors, just cut all that nonsense out. Let's finish this video on the Panama.
Doesn't come.
Yeah, no, we're looking at NOAA predictions, and predictions do say that El Nino is weakening, and we're going into the April, May, June quarter, we're looking that we're going to neutral, and maybe at the end of the year, towards October, November, December, El Nino effect will come in, which means a lot of rain. So according to the meteorologist forecast of NOAA, that's the perspective. So we don't think that we will have a problem coming rainy season next year. If for any reason the rain season delay, then we might have to adjust either draft or reduce 1 or 2 more transits per day to maintain the lake until rainy season comes in, if it comes a little bit later in that quarter.
I want to ask you about long-term planning. Gatun Lake, which I understand feeds the Panama Canal, there are also thirsty cities that draw water from that lake, and there is this ongoing drought. Are you in a place now where you are having to plan for perhaps an alternative reservoir to make sure that the canal can stay functional in years to come, not just this year?
You know, it'd be really sick. I don't think we have this. You know, it'd be really sick. Okay. You know how modern tunnels are done by a big boring machine? I think we need that, but as a boat. Like basically an icebreaker, but for land, where it has like a bunch of like drilling equipment on the front, and it gets close to the ground, and it just begins and it just starts like tearing into the earth to create a canal. I think that'd be cool as hell.
Yes, definitely. We're looking
at
a very holistic project that is not only an additional reservoir, and we do have 2 reservoirs. We have Alajuela Lake.
Elon said Cybertruck can do that.
Also provides potable water for the population, and it's a regulatory lake for the Gatun Lake. So we have 2 lakes currently, and we were able to fill Alajuela Lake to the maximum. So let's say potable water is assured for the population, and that's why we reduce transit. But we are looking at 2 additional projects.
This is really grim. On the plus side, though, disruption to international trade might actually get people to start giving a shit about climate change. Like, at the end of the day, material interest, blah, 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 blah. You know, if it's really cutting into international commerce, that might actually put some impetus on this. It won't. It might. It might. Isn't it already too late? It's never too late, friend. It's never too late. Saying it's too late would be like giving up in World War II back in 1943 because there's no way to win the war without having had the civilian casualties you already have. You know, oh, it's too late. The Luftwaffe have already blitzed London. We already lost a bunch of people in buildings. It's over. Like, what, you're going to stop fighting now? You know? It's not too late until we're all dead. That's when it's too late. It's too late for Florida. It is too late for Florida. They are all dead. If you ever feel yourself despairing, I'm being like semi-serious here. If you ever feel yourself despairing at climate change, what you need to do is sit your ass down and rewatch all of Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, because you need to have a delusional, Kamina-like attitude towards the you know, the problems we need to overcome in our future. Okay, you need to with a delusional bravado that would rival your favorite shonen protagonists. You never seen it, Axial. TTGL, you'll find it. It's not unpopular. Yeah. The virgin realistic assessment of our future versus the Chad indomitable human spirit.